This guy.
I have one I'm drinking, so.
Hello, everybody.
What you have now?
I don't normally narrate these things, but it's a new season, and so I thought I'd share my thoughts on something that's new, and that's sharks. We've had lots of vehicles for movement in the past, but we've never had an animal that we can ride. At least not that I'm aware of, and if I'm wrong, please comment below and let me know.
The ground over and over again.
I'm not exactly sure why we have sharks this season, and we didn't have sharks in like season 1 or 2 because we had plenty of ocean and water in both of those, and it doesn't seem that it really matters whether or not you're in the ocean or in freshwater, since there are actually sharks over in Misty Meadows and in Frenzy Farms. There's really not that much water over in Frenzy, but we have sharks in both of those locations, so I'm not sure why we didn't have them before, but we have them now. One annoying thing about the sharks is that they're a lot like those random Phil teammates who don't talk or who won't stop talking, and who just run around like little vacuums eating up all of the loot. Well, sharks are a little bit like loot hogs, running around gobbling up any loot that they see, but at least they have the decency to glow all shiny to indicate that they have a certain quality of loot inside of them. It's just, you know, a few clips of ammo later, and he's dead, and the loot is all yours. Unless your random teammate swoops in and gobbles it up before you can snag it.
Come here, eat my thing.
Just remember that a loot shark will attack regardless of whether or not it has loot. Maybe this has a learning curve. Do you know what Team Rumble doesn't have? If you guessed good players, you'd be right, but that's not what I'm going for. What I'm going for is they don't have sharks in Team Rumble, which is kind of crappy because that's where most of us go to test out those annoying things that you don't want to test out when you have a full team or you have a duo partner or you're even doing a solo. That's not really the best time to try to catch a shark, mess around, figure out how to ride it. Anyway, and it's not really easy to figure out how to ride a loot shark. It took me several tries before I figured out that every time I caught a loot shark, that if I pressed any of my movement keys, that shark would suddenly become free, and then I was just floating in the water with an angry shark. So if you're a mouse and keyboard player, don't press any of your movement keys. Just use your mouse. But this is cooler than burning buildings, right?
Oh my gosh, you see those buildings?
Hey, over here. Just keep in mind that sharks do damage to you if you get too close to them, so be careful if you try to pickaxe one. There are a couple of achievements that come along with the sharks this season. For example, there's one called Killer Ride. That's for riding a loot shark. So that's pretty easy because there's lots of challenges this season requiring us to actually interact with a shark. If you haven't gotten this one yet, you probably haven't played very much. But they do pose for pictures. That's cool, right? There's also shark bait and shark repellent. Shark repellent is a reference to a 1966 Batman film, which is why this particular achievement requires you to do 1,966 damage to a shark. Shark bait's a little bit harder because that requires you to damage an opponent with a loot shark, which is a little harder to do because how often are you really riding the loot shark when you have opponents around? And finally, this brings me to my favorite clip from this season thus far. Thanks to Fated for being willing to be the bait.
Do the L dance on him, Faded.
I don't have that one.
Pretend like you have it.
The which one?
The L dance, the take the L.
Oh, the L. I thought you were saying the yell.
No.
Ah! Fuck this kid, dude. Fuck you.
I know, right?
You know. Fuck you. You don't get that.
I love it.
Fuck you, you bitch.
Hit those cans too. Oh,
Right on top of my body. Yeah, you should have used the cans.
My card.
Right there.
Fine.
whoa, you're like super frozen.
He's
on my
healing
screen.
right now, anyway.
Yeah,
What's
but
he
now
doing
yours.
on the screen, Chicky?
Oh my gosh. What's Faded doing? He's jumping around
Yeah.
with a gun in his hand, shooting at a guy with a yellow
Oh,
costume.
there we go. That was weird. He was just standing there for a while for me.
Nice! Faded!
Fuck!
Oh my god, that was the
Oh
best. The dance, oh, that was just
my
perfect.
gosh! I
I
see it.
cannot believe that just happened.